Good morning, everybody. Before we begin, I would like to please ask you to bow your heads for a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Now I would like to go ahead and if you are able to stand, please stand as we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. And now I would like to introduce the real host of the hour, U.S. Congressman Trent Kelly. He represents Mississippi's 1st Congressional District. And with that, I will turn it over to him.
Good morning. I want to welcome you to our virtual Academy Day 2020. First of all, in these challenging and trying times, I hate that we can't meet in person. I always prefer that, but we are in the world that we live in today. And it's going to be brave men and women like the people on this call today who are the ones who get us through this challenge and the challenges of our future. We have a very distinguished panel of guests today. We have members from all the services, from ROTC, from different commissioning service sources. We just want to welcome you, and we want to encourage you to continue with your patriotism, because wanting to serve our nation, that's what it should be about. It should never be about fame, fortune, money, or any of those things. It should be about patriotism and the love of our country and the love to keep the freedoms that we enjoy every day. Those were given to us by our forefathers, many of who chose to serve in our armed forces across the nation. I'm often reminded of our greatest generation, that generation, our World War II generation, many of who are leaving us now in large numbers, all are who are in their late 80s, early 90s, or older. And I'm always amazed at how proud they are of their 4 years of service well over 75 years ago. Many are distinguished businessmen, millionaires. They have created lives, families, communities. They've built everything in America. But if you ask most of those men and women, what they are proudest of is the 4 years that they served during that World War II. You guys are our next generation of patriots. I encourage you to continue on this path, to do your best. For those of you who are selected to attend our academies, you men and women, you get a great opportunity to get a world-class education at world-class institutions and to lead men and women in battle one day. There's no higher honor than the leadership which you learn in the military and get to exercise and to lead other brave men and women. For those who aren't chosen for the academy, there are other commissioning services. Whether it's ROTC or OCS or any other commissioning service, we encourage you. And finally, I'd just like to encourage all of you applicants, don't just choose one academy. You may want to be a Navy pilot. Don't limit yourself to only putting Navy as the only academy that you'll do. Some of you may want to be an Apache pilot for the Army or an F-35 pilot for the Air Force. I ask you to leave your options open and know that sometimes there's someone wiser than you choosing your path. And so leave yourself as many options as you can. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for choosing to serve this great nation that we all call home. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Robert. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Kelly. We greatly appreciate you being able to be here this morning and for hosting this event. So most of you know, and just to kind of briefly go over for some of those folks who've never participated in an Academy Day event, this is an opportunity for you to hear from and to communicate with distinguished representatives of the academies and other very fine programs. And one of the first things I'm going to do for the benefit of those who would like to get a nomination is I'm just going to show you what you need to do in order to take the very first steps in the process when it comes to receiving a nomination from our office. And so with that, if you will bear with me just a second. All right, so I'm going to go to Google and I'm just going to type in Trent Kelly, and I'm going to go to the official website here. Never mind the pop-ups. And then you'll go to Services, Service Academy nominations. There's a form here I need you to fill out, and then mail that to me along with the very important second part, which is the checklist. You will fill this checklist out, well, if it'll ever come up. Okay. Perhaps it already came up. No? Well, in any event, you should be able to fill this document out and mail it back to me, please. I'm going to try just one more time. There we go. So it's pretty simple. Everybody send that to me, and we will get you started on the process of getting your nomination for the academies. All right, and next I'm going to briefly go over the agenda, if I can find it here. All right. All right, everyone. This is the agenda. We've obviously already had Congressman Kelly graciously speak this morning, and I just wanted to go over a couple things. We're hopefully going to keep this around or under 2 hours. That's my goal. Please submit questions through the Q&A. You can submit them through chat, but I would recommend that you submit them through Q&A. And as you see, that'll be after everyone has spoken. I know there's football games today, and I'm very excited about that, but this is serious business, everybody. And with that, also I wanted to recommend one more thing. We tend to be underrepresented here in Mississippi at the Academy, at the Merchant Marine and Coast Guard Academy. And so I want to make sure and tell everyone that you should also highly consider those among your choices. Let me just go ahead and introduce our speakers. So for the Parents Club, we're going to have Mr. Zeidman. Mr. Zeidman is originally a New Yorker. He is a past president of the West Point Parents Club of Mississippi. For 15 years, he served as a state coordinator, has served as the state coordinator for West Point admissions. He's a former adjunct instructor of political science at both Northwest Mississippi Community College and Itawamba Community College. Mr. Zeidman currently lives in Calhoun City and is a representative with Lincoln Financial Advisors. Next up for West Point, we have Major Gilbert. Major Gilbert is a 2010 graduate of West Point who has a truly impressive career as an infantry officer, including 2 tours in Afghanistan. Major Gilbert has earned a master's degree in business administration from Southern Methodist University. He has completed Airborne School, Air Assault School, Ranger School, Sniper Employment School, SEER School, Recon and Surveillance Leadership, Joint Firepower, and Maneuver Captain's Career courses. He is currently in admissions in the Department of Admissions at USNA. For the Naval Academy, we have Ensign Llewellyn, Ensign Joseph Llewellyn. Ensign Joseph Llewellyn is a surface warfare officer who is working in the admissions department at the Naval Academy. He graduated from the Naval Academy in 2020 with a bachelor's degree in ocean engineering. While he was in school, he spent his after academic hours in the rowing and lacrosse teams. He's looking forward to moving to San Diego at the end of the month to join his ship, the USS Cowpens. Next, we'll have Mrs. Brittany Thornton. She is someone we're very, very happy to have this morning. She is a native of Okolona, Mississippi, and a graduate of Okolona High School in 2003. She's received her undergraduate degree at Mississippi University for Women with a BS in psychology. She did her grad school in school counseling at Mississippi State, where she graduated in 2010. She was recruited out of grad school by the Air Force personnel system to enter the civil service in the fall of 2010. She has worked for the Air Force for just over 10 years in military testing, education, and is now with admissions as a deputy chief of selections and a branch chief. She is also a Zeta Phi Beta sorority member and is very active as a volunteer in the Colorado Springs community. And so, as you'll see on the agenda, Air Force is the only school will have 2 speakers, and part of that is because Mrs. Thornton was so gracious to agree to speak this morning. And next, with Air Force, we have Lieutenant Casey Miller. Casey was born and raised in Central Arizona and was a recent graduate of USAFA, which is, of course, the Air Force Academy. While there, he practiced falconry and studied biology. Graduating with a bachelor's degree in science, he is currently stationed in Nashville, Tennessee, working as an admissions advisor for U.S. Air Force Academy, excuse me, until beginning pilot training in May of 2021. For the Coast Guard Academy, we have I listed him as Lieutenant Commander Kevin Whalen. He is Lieutenant Commander Select Kevin Whalen. So he is technically still lieutenant, and I want to apologize for that mistake. A New Jersey native, Lieutenant Kevin Whalen is a 2009 graduate of U.S. Coast Guard Academy with a bachelor's in marine and environmental science. He is a true friend of Mississippi. Lieutenant Kevin Whalen assumed the duties and responsibilities as supervisor of Marine Safety Detachment Vicksburg, Mississippi in July 2017. He is responsible for overseeing and executing sector lower Mississippi River's missions for over 1,000 miles of river and 5 inland ports across Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. In addition to the crew in Vicksburg, he has a detachment in Greenville, Mississippi, and together the team works closely with numerous other governmental agencies, including the Army Corps of Engineers, to continuously monitor and respond to incidents along the mighty Mississippi. He has earned the Coast Guard Academy Alumni Achievement Award, holds a master's degree in management and leadership from Liberty University, and currently has a rescue dog named Chupacabra who accompanies him on his adventures. Next, we're going to have, and also I meant to add that with Mississippi State Coast Guard Academy and the Naval Academy, we'll have additional folks participating in the Q&A who will be able to answer questions, and I'll go over those folks when we get to the end of this list. After we have Lieutenant Whalen, we have Midshipman Garrett Lipinski. Midshipman Third Class Garrett Lipinski is from Wimberley, Texas, and he went on to the Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point with the intention of pursuing Navy flight after graduation. Before coming to the Academy, he was a team captain, earned his Eagle Scout, and received his private pilot's license. At Kings Point, he is studying marine systems engineering. When he graduates in 2023, he will not only receive a Bachelor's of Science degree and a commission into any branch of his choosing, but will also receive a U.S. Coast Guard unlimited tonnage license. On the side, he is working towards his New York State EMT certification and plans on taking dual concentrations in emergency medical care and nuclear engineering. Outside the classroom, he participates in varsity crew and club sports. He is very glad to be able to share his experience as a current midshipman at one of the nation's finest institutions. All right, and next we will go on to Marion Military Institute, from which we will have the pleasure of hearing from Lieutenant Colonel retired Thomas Bowen. And I tell you guys, his career has been so impressive, and his number of assignments and accomplishments are simply too numerous to name here. But I will give a summarized biography. Lieutenant Colonel retired Thomas Bowen was commissioned from West Point into the United States U.S. Army Infantry in May 1982, subsequently serving on active duty for over 22 years. His assignments include tours of Kosovo, Iraq, Germany, South Korea, and West Point. He is airborne jump master and Ranger qualified, including serving as a Ranger School Battalion Operations Officer. Additionally, Lieutenant Colonel Bowen earned a Master's of Arts in Leadership and Development from West Point in 1993 and a Master of Arts in Clinical Psychology from Regent University in 2012. He currently serves as a Director of Service Academy Program, as the Director of the Service Academy Program at Marion Military Institute in Marion, Alabama, helping approximately 100 young men and women annually gain appointments to one of our nation's 5 federal service academies. Lieutenant Colonel Bowen is married to the former Kelly C. McKinney of Cleveland, Ohio. His 2 sons, Joshua and Jordan, both graduated from West Point and served on active duty in the U.S. Army as commissioned officers, and both served, rather. His daughter, Sarah, commissioned through Officer Candidate School and serves as a surface nuclear reactor officer in the Navy. So we're really happy to have Colonel Bowen here this morning. After that, we're going to have Mississippi State Army ROTC represented, because this is this, like the Ole Miss program, is so important for our district and for our state in producing good officers. Cadet Brandon is from Grenada, Mississippi. He graduated from Kirk Academy in 2016 as salutatorian and student body president. In April 2017, he joined the Mississippi Army National Guard. He distinguished himself among his peers of his advanced individual training by finishing #1 in his class as a 12 kilo. He contracted into Mississippi State University Army ROTC in the spring semester of 2018 as a non-scholarship cadet. Noah is studying civil environmental engineering at Mississippi State while participating in the Army ROTC program. Noah has completed all his military science requirements to include finishing #1 out of 36 cadets in his advanced camp platoon, and is planning to graduate and commission as a second lieutenant in May of 2021. He plans to attend flight school at Fort Rucker, Alabama, upon graduation. And finally, for Ole Miss, as it's fondly known by many of us, or the University of Mississippi Navy ROTC, we will have a really great speaker this morning, and that will be Lieutenant Austin Gerald. Lieutenant Gerald commissioned from the United States Naval Academy in 2013. He proceeded to Charleston, South Carolina for training in nuclear propulsion. Following his completion of initial training, Lieutenant Gerald reported to the USS Asheville in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Following completion of his tour on the USS Asheville in 2018, Lieutenant Gerald reported to Oxford, Mississippi as an instructor for the University of Mississippi's Naval ROTC unit, and let me tell you, we're happy to have him. Additionally, I want to go over that during the, I'm sorry, he was flashing me. Additionally, I want to go over that during the question and answer session for Navy, we will have Mr. Charles Bruin, who is a USNA grad. He is currently a blue and gold officer and will be there for answering questions. We will also, for Coast Guard Academy, have a current midshipman, Mr. Blankenship, whom I'm looking forward to hearing from. And for Mississippi State, we have someone in recruitment, and that is Lieutenant Colonel Posey. And he is a West Point graduate himself. And so I think he'll be excellent if you have any questions about the program. All right, and with that, all right, and make sure, please, if you are going to ask questions, I recommend to use the Q&A function rather than the chat function, although both will do just fine. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, Mr. Zeidman, and we'll see you on the other end.
Okay. Thank you, Congressman Kelly, and your staff, Robert Smith, Melinda, Susan, for hosting this virtual Academy Day. Why the Parents Club? Well, the Parents Club provide valuable information for parents of candidates as they go through the admission process. Please go on to one of the Academy websites and you'll see a link for the Parents Club. It will inform you how to connect Academy Parents Club in the Mississippi with the one that you're interested in. Once we get back to some sense of normalcy from the COVID-19 pandemic, the Parents Club can give you valuable information.
I think your camera's turned off.
I can't seem to get it back on. Robert, can you do it your end?
We can hear you just fine. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just wanted to let you know that.
Okay. And if I do it. Okay, so camera, how about this? No. Okay, but you can hear me? Okay. Can you hear me, Robert?
Yes, sir. We can hear you just fine.
Okay, I'm sorry about the video. I don't know what's happened to the video here. But let me continue on with the Parents Club. Again, they'll give you valuable information as to where to stay when you visit the Academy and what airlines provide the best service and fares. And many of the clubs will provide pizza for the Academy kids on their birthday. So it's worthwhile joining the Parents Club. And this is important. If one day your child calls home and wants to leave the Academy, contact a member of the Mississippi Parents Club. They will have their child talk with your child and counsel them on the benefits of staying the course. Now, this could be the difference between whether they stay or leave. It's not a guarantee, but we have seen it happen more and then often over the years. Okay, it's time for do's and don'ts. Parents, don't call the academy. Don't call the academy. Your child needs to take ownership and leadership in the admission process. With emails, faxes, tweets, Twixters, my face, your face, all that social media stuff, there's no reason why they can't communicate directly with admissions. The academies won't tell you, but it's a huge red flag when a parent calls the academy. So don't call the academy. Now, parents do help them stay on track with the different timelines. Make sure you stay on them to get transcripts out and to finish any projects which will enhance their admission profile. If your child lacks a few requirements for the Eagle Badge or the Girl Scout Gold Award, make sure they complete those items. If they are currently a junior, make sure they sign up for Boys and Girls State. Eagle Scout Gold War, the Gold Award, and attending Boys or Girls State puts a lot of leadership points on the board in their file. Now, I know that you may be hesitant to send your child off to Colorado Springs, Annapolis, Maryland, London, Connecticut, West Point, New York, and Kings Point, New York. You'd rather have them stay close to home. Well, you might think they're at Ole Miss, but they're in Tunica. And you might think that they're at Mississippi State, but they're at the Silver Star. And you might think they're at Southern Mississippi, but they're at the Beauregard. And now that our state legislature has passed a lottery, your child can spend their food money on lottery tickets at the convenience store. Well, at the academies, they're accounted for 24/7 with the best medical care anywhere. You can rest very comfortably every night. Now, if your child gets a letter from the academy saying that they were not able to offer them admissions, don't blame Congressman Kelly. It is because there are several qualified students in the district. To both parents and candidates out there watching, so you didn't receive an appointment to the academy or the prep school. Now what? You have several options. If you are medically, physically, and academically qualified, don't quit. Don't quit. Join ROTC at one of the senior colleges. It's a great program. I'll go to a community college. Go to Marion Institute. It has a great track record of getting kids into an academy. And you will hear from the representatives of ROTC and Marion later in this program. Apply again, your first semester, even from ROTC, and you'll have an excellent chance of getting accepted. In Mississippi, many students have gotten in on their second and sometimes third try by taking college courses and reapplying. So don't quit. Remember, you haven't failed until you stop trying. Now, if you're a senior and you get your appointment this admission cycle, congratulations. And by the way, a good place to go and not be harassed is one of the religious chapels. They will also feed you hot dogs and ice cream, and you're off limits to the upperclassmen from bothering you. So if you don't have a religion, get one. Good luck, and parents, don't forget to get on the Academy website and join the Parents Club. Thank you.
All right, I think I'm up here. Cut me off if I'm not. My name's Major Steve Gilbert. I'm the Southwest Admissions Officer, so I'll be handling all files and applicants that apply from everywhere from Tennessee to Colorado and New Mexico. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be here. Unfortunately, can't come in person. I was really looking forward to traveling out there this year, but looks like it's not in the cards. So a little bit about myself. As mentioned, commissioned as an infantry officer, graduated in 2010. A lot of different jobs available at West Point. You can branch out as cyber, you can branch as pilot, you can branch armor and do tanks and that sort of thing. So a lot of different options that are available to you. Let me try and share my screen here real quick.
Well, I'm sorry, Major Gilbert. I think we might have lost you there. If you want to try to reconnect and unmute yourself, that would be fine. And hopefully we'll try that one more time. If Major Gilbert has some issues getting connected there, that's no problem. We can return to him. And if that's the case, let us move on then to, Ensign Joseph Llewellyn.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ensign Joe Llewellyn. Let me pull up my PowerPoint here real quick. So I want to thank Mr. Smith for that introduction, and thank you, Congressman Kelly, for having me. I'm excited to take a couple minutes to talk about the Naval Academy and the admissions process we have here. So who are we at the Naval Academy? Well, in 2019, we were ranked the #1 public school in America. We got to there by having an 8-to-1 student-faculty ratio, with most of our faculty being civilians or military members. So there's a lot of great opportunity to learn. We have a 90% graduation rate. Very few people who come to the academy don't make it all the way through the 4 years, and that's because of the structure that we have at the academy that really supports the midshipmen in their day-to-day activities, as well as academically. Obviously, being an academy, the 4-year tuition is free, and everyone who graduates receives a commission in the United States Navy or Marine Corps. We also offer 25 different majors here. As you heard from Mr. Smith, I was an ocean engineer major, so that's the route I chose to take, but there are many, many different opportunities for different majors here at the academy. So who makes up the Brigade of Midshipmen? Well, every year we have around 4,500 midshipmen, and as you can see the breakdown here, about 30% of them are women and around 70% are men. And the Brigade of Midshipmen is made up of individuals from all 50 states, as well as different territories and foreign countries. We also have the opportunity to bring in prior enlisted sailors and Marines. So there's a diverse group of people that you will be constantly surrounded by if you choose to come to the academy and be a midshipman. So the campus at the Naval Academy, we call it the Yard, and it's in a very prime location in Maryland. It's right outside of Annapolis, Maryland, right on the Severn River, which is very close to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. This provides midshipmen with a lot of internship opportunities over the summers in D.C. and Baltimore, as well as since the academy is close to several other colleges, it gives the opportunity for midshipmen to pursue postgraduate education while at the academy if you get ahead in your studies. It's also important to note that at the academy, on the Yard, you have every kind of service and facility you would need to live comfortably on a day-to-day basis. You have your barbershop there, you have a store, post office, all the medical and dental things you might need. So there's no point to where you need to leave the Yard for something. Everything will be provided for you and be taken care of on the Yard, which is especially important during your freshman year here at the academy when you don't get many opportunities to leave the Yard. So what do we offer here at the Naval Academy? Well, here you can see we broke it down into 4 main tenets. Obviously, we offer a great education here. Like I said earlier, we were ranked the #1 public school in the United States in 2019. We also rank very highly on our engineering programs. I think we have the #2 aerospace engineering program in the country. And this is all while graduating everyone in 4 years. Most other colleges, they allow you to extend that time period, so you could get a degree in 5 or 6 years, but at the academy, we make sure that everyone graduates in 4 years. And because we have a core curriculum of core classes, every midshipman graduates with a bachelor degree of science. We talked about the majors, and we'll go into a little more detail later. But some of the benefits are what we went over already with the free tuition and all your medical and dental covered, as well as being issued pretty much everything you're going to need to be successful at the academy. Let's talk a little bit about pay. Being a midshipman does mean that you are an active duty member of the military, and you do get paid. You have a monthly stipend of $1,150. However, you get a monthly allowance ranging from $125 to $600 a month, and the rest is kind of put in a bank account of sorts for each midshipman that will pay out over time, with ending with a bit of a large payment there when you graduate. Some of the things that we do here at the Academy to prepare you for your career in the Navy, we have a lot of summer trainings that work on getting you out and into the fleet on ships with Marine battalions to really get you out in the communities that you want to be in and see how those operate in the real world. So you definitely get a lot of opportunities to not only learn academically, but also to learn what the Navy and the military entails as you get out on trainings over the summer. So here we go. Here's a list of all the majors. I chose to go the engineering route, but as you can see, there's many different majors you could take if engineering isn't what you're into. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, we have a lot of great engineering programs. Obviously, that's a bit more of my focus. So we have the number 2 aerospace engineering program in the country. I know we have the second biggest wave tank in the country for all the naval architects and marine engineering, as well as the ocean engineering majors who are interested in those. So that's pretty much all there is about the majors. Okay, athletics. We have a saying here at the Academy that every midshipman is a student athlete, and that's because of the simple reason that every midshipman participates in athletics on one of these 3 levels. We have 33 Division I varsity teams, and you'll see I have a slide with the breakdown of those, and as well as club teams and intramural teams. So how it works is either you're a varsity athlete or a club athlete, and if you're not one of those, then you will participate in intramural sports with your company, they have different sports that are comprised of all your teammates will be from your company, and then you'll compete against other companies, and it culminates in end of the year championships on companies against companies, which is always a lot of fun. I rowed Division I my freshman year, and then I transitioned to playing club lacrosse for the remainder of my 3 years at the Naval Academy. All right, let's briefly go over the application process. You have a preliminary application. Now this is, if you want to attend any of the summer programs here, like summer STEM at the Naval Academy or summer seminar at the Naval Academy, you would fill out the preliminary application to apply for that, and then that will carry over into your actual application. But if you don't apply to summer seminar, then you will have to start with the preliminary application. And then you have the personal data record statement. Now this is just the obvious personal information and essays and stuff about you for your application. Then you have the candidate fitness assessment, which will be given to you by a coach or your blue and gold officer or any active duty officer. And it continues on with the breakdown of what you need for your application. And Mr. Smith touched on the nomination applications for the congressman, but I just want you to be aware of the fact that there are many different nominations you can get for the Academy and in the Naval Academy, with the presidential, vice presidential, and senator nominations, just to name a few. So definitely go for as many nominations as you can to make you the most competitive on getting a nomination to be able to attend an academy. To break down the admissions process a little farther, around 16,000 people apply for the preliminary application, and that just starts the application process. As you can see, with each step, we drop in numbers. So to become an official candidate, there's only 12,000. And then by the time you get through all of these different qualifications, you're only really competing with a nomination if you complete the total application with around 3,400 people. So you drastically improve your odds just by going through all the steps and completing the application. So 3,400 people on estimate every year complete the full application, and then we accept around 1,100. So pretty good odds if you actually go through every step and finish the application. Besides that, we also, if you don't get in on your first try, the admissions board has the opportunity to offer you a spot at the Naval Academy Preparatory School or a foundation program. Now, you can't apply to these programs directly, but when the board looks at your application, if they think you're competitive but you're not quite there yet, they may offer you one of these two routes, which will then lead into an acceptance for the following year at the Naval Academy. So here's just a couple things to keep in mind as you're going into your senior years of high school and completing your applications. I'm not going to read through all this, but you can see that we want to see a good foundation in the STEM fields, as well as you're taking your SATs and ACTs. I know this year we've had a little bit of trouble with the coronavirus and getting people to take the tests or take the SATs and ACTs, but both are very important. So we really, really need you to take those tests. And if you're struggling or there are any extenuating circumstances, you just need to reach out to your admissions officer and work through that. So concluding here with just a quick top 5 reasons to go to the Naval Academy. First of all, as we already discussed, you get the full scholarship as well as 100% employment rate, which is a really big deal because going to the Naval Academy not only sets you up for a really competitive and good college to graduate from, but it also sets you up with a potentially lifelong career. We also are set in a really, really sweet location here on the Severn River in Annapolis, Maryland. We went over that a bit with the location to DC as well as Baltimore and several colleges. And we really focus on leadership and character development here, which will make sure that you come in as a high school senior and you're able to leave as an 01 in the Navy or Marine Corps. And finally, we have a really high graduation rate, especially considering that there's no extended, there's no a 5th year kind of deal here at the Naval Academy. You get 4 years to complete your degree and graduate. So just to finish up, if you're looking to reach out through us through social media, here's all of our social media accounts. And if you have any questions, I look forward to seeing your questions pop up in the Q&A feature. Or you can message me directly. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. But I'm going to go ahead and throw my information up in the chat. So if you have any more personal questions or more specific questions to you, you can reach out directly to me and answer. I can get you an answer. So thank you very much.
All right, guys, this is Major Steve Gilbert again from West Point. I'm going to try one more time. Sorry, my browser froze up on me last time. So we're going to talk about West Point here. So West Point's located just an hour north of New York City. It's originally started in the American Revolution. It's since the critical fortification during the American Revolution. It's since been the longest continuously garrisoned military installation in the United States, and in 1802 it was established as the first military academy. Really pioneered the 4-year system and really was the basis model for an engineering school. So since then we have a long history of engineering, specifically in STEM. However, when you commission as an officer, but you're going to commission as an officer in the United States Army. What's important those million men and women, they need leaders and they need leadership. So there's no surprise that we've got, U.S. presidents, 4- and 5-star generals, but really when you think of leadership across the board, Whether it's in basketball, you think of Coach K. If you think of, Fortune 500 companies and captains in industry, you're going to find West Point graduates. Whether it's the current Secretary of State or, our active members of Congress and the Senate, you're going to find West Pointers. And it really is just towards the reason that, you're going to graduate, and no matter what job you choose, I spoke about that a little bit before I got cut off, whatever job you choose, whether it's cyber, whether you're going to go into med services or an infantry officer, you're going to be in charge of, somewhere between 20 and 35 soldiers within 18 months to a year of graduating. That much we can guarantee you. And so our job is to make sure you're prepared for that after your 47-month experience here at West Point. We use, 3 different pillars to create leaders of character. And the first one's academic. So again, our goal is to create leaders of character, but academics are a tool that we use to create well-rounded leaders that can then go out in a complex environment, have the mental agility to be able to make decisions and adapt and be successful in those environments. So we have over 40 majors that we offer at West Point. You'll notice, although we are a top-tier engineering school, whether you want to be a nuclear, mechanical, systems, or civil engineer, we also offer a lot of humanities that you can see on here, and you get your choice of any one of these majors. But we do have a pretty comprehensive block core curriculum that you're going to have to take. And so if you're going to be a nuclear engineer, you're also going to take philosophy. You're also going to take literature. You're going to take legal and law classes. And again, that's because the product that we're trying to create at the end to make great officers and great military leaders, we're going to want to make sure you have that core curriculum. Our military development, the second pillar that we focus on, we leverage this a lot for our leadership aspect. We do a crawl, walk, run process at West Point. You're going to come as a freshman, and you're going to learn how to really take care of yourself. You're going to learn how to qualify on your M4 weapon system. You're going to learn land nav. You're going to learn how to walk, how to talk, and really be ready to be a cadet. By the time you get to your sophomore year, during that second summer, you're going to start doing team level operations. You're going to start building your leadership philosophy. And then your sophomore year, during the year, you're going to be responsible for 1 or 2 freshmen. And as we say in the Army, at every level, you're responsible for what your subordinates do and fail to do. So, just as a sophomore, you're going to be responsible for that freshman's academic performance, their physical performance. And we really take that type of leadership seriously at West Point. By the time you get to your junior and senior year, this is really where we kind of crank up the leadership notch, and you're in the run phase. So this is when you are going to be, coming back during one of those 2 summers and facilitating the training for the lower classmen, either in their basic training course or their field training course. If you're a junior, you're either going to be a squad leader in charge of 12 other cadets, or you're going to be a senior in charge of 30 to 100, all the way up to the first captain. So we're training leadership. We've got commissioned and non-commissioned officers at that level, like myself, who are there to mentor and train cadets in all those positions, so that the day you graduate, you're ready to step out and be a platoon leader. Some of the other things we offer during those summers, we have a comprehensive program to make sure cadets know exactly what job they're going to be interested in when it comes time to choose their senior year. And I say job, that's, what are you going to do in the Army? Are you going to be a pilot and fly helicopters? Are you going to go do cyber? What is it you're going to do? You're going to get an opportunity to travel, anywhere in the world that we've got an Army base, and you're going to get linked up with a second lieutenant that's currently a platoon leader that's doing your future job for about 3 weeks, and you'll get to shadow them and ask all the questions that you want. You'll also get, we have individual advanced development. It's a long military acronym for really an internship. Usually these are based with the academic departments, but not necessarily. I know every time I talk to cadets, they're telling me about new and interesting opportunities they've had. When I was a cadet, I got to go to Ukraine because I happened to be taking Russian as my language. I've talked to cadets who are getting to intern with the FBI or go to the stock market because they're, in econ, that's their major. So tons of opportunities there. And then as well, you get an opportunity to do a military development school. If you paid attention to my bio, two of the military schools that I had the opportunity to participate in, I did while I was at West Point. I went to sniper employment and in SEER school while I was at West Point. But we also have a lot of opportunities abroad that we didn't used to have, and those are growing every year. And the reason for that is, again, to create that broad base of experiences so that these cadets, when they become second lieutenants, really have a lot to give back to the Army and can immediately hit the road running with their experiences. So we have enrichment programs in over 55 different countries. Quick disclaimer here, this was curtailed a little bit last summer due to COVID-19. And we don't know exactly what next summer is going to look like, but we're still planning for a best case scenario, and it might be trimmed back slightly, but a lot can change, as you guys know, in 6 or 8 months. So generally we send about a third of the Corps out into the world doing one of these programs each year. And the last pillar, hopefully I'm doing all right on time here, is the physical development. So while every cadet is an athlete and they're going to participate in a sport after their academics each year, each day, they're also going to do, this is really our more of our academic physical development program. So you're going to take boxing, military movement is what we call gymnastics. You're going to do survival swimming. And what's important takeaway of this, I think, there's a few cadets out there, there always are, that they don't have a problem. They breeze through every single item on this list. But I think everybody struggles with something. For me personally, I went to West Point. I was on the wrestling team. Boxing for me wasn't a big deal. But survival swimming was the bane of my existence. But the point is, everyone takes these classes. You're going to get the tools you need and the training you need to be successful. And at the end of it, you're going to be more well-rounded, grittier, better leader and human being at the end of it. And that's really the intent of this physical development program. So one last little bit on just how we look at the application. This is a great reference for you guys if you're curious, hey, how do I allocate my time? What should I be focusing on? Well, here, this is what we're looking at, percentage-wise on your application to West Point. So 60% is academic, SATs, GPA, transcripts, 30% are extracurriculars, athletic performances, high school letters, that sort of thing. And then evaluations, school official evaluations, really like a letter of recommendation from your school. And then the last 10% is that candidate fitness assessment. I'd say the big takeaways here are candidate fitness assessment. We're different than the rest in that we do require videos for the push-ups and the pull-ups, so don't forget that. And then for academic, we do require the writing for the SAT and ACT. Lots going on with this, as I know you guys are probably chomping at the bit for questions here. We are accepting the PSAT this year in lieu of those due to COVID-19. However, that's going to be really down the line. So keep trying to take the SAT and ACT if you're trying to be as competitive as possible. If December, January rolls around and you haven't been able to make that happen due to cancellations, get in contact with us. We have a method to still evaluate your file. But right now, just keep trying to take those tests in order to be competitive as possible. So I'll be in the comments. I'm going to put my contact info in there now, and then I'll be there to answer questions during the rest of the briefs and at the end. But thank you for having me, and you guys be safe out there.
All right, good morning, Mississippi District 1. Again, my name is Brittany Thornton. I am the Deputy Chief of Selections here at the Air Force Academy, and I'm really thrilled to be talking to each of you today. I'm going to turn it over real quickly to Second Lieutenant Casey Miller for an introduction and his part, and then I will go over the application process.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much from Congressman Kelly's office for having us out here and allowing us this opportunity to speak about our service academies. So like Mr. Smith mentioned earlier, I am a 2020 graduate from the United States Air Force Academy. I just graduated earlier this year in April, and it was an incredible opportunity. I got accepted directly out of high school and went to the academy in 2016. And while there, I had the opportunity to study biology as well as act as a member of the falconry team, where we traveled all over, got to handle our live mascots. I was one of the ones, if you've ever watched an academy service game, that was out on the field actually flying the Falcon. So that was pretty incredible. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen real quick. I got a little bit of a presentation for you guys, and we'll see if I can show you a little bit of how the Air Force Academy is different from the others. So the Academy is located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's going to be the furthest west of all the service academies, but we'll talk about a little bit more about location later on. The mission of the Air Force Academy is actually just changed recently. It's to educate, train, and inspire men and women to become officers of character motivated to lead the United States Air and Space Forces in service to our nation. So that's kind of an important one with the new creation of our newest branch of the military, the Space Force. The Air Force Academy is one of the only direct commissioning opportunities into that branch. So not only do you have the opportunity to go into the Air Force, you'd also have the opportunity to go into the Space Force, depending on where your ambitions lie. So let's talk about the Academy experience. What makes the Air Force Academy different from your other opportunities to serve and to go into the military? We've got majors and minors, some that are pretty incredible. Like I mentioned, I was a biology major. I studied environmental biology, so I got to take a lot of classes in botany, zoology, all that kind of stuff. But we've also got a ton of opportunities in the basic sciences, engineering, humanities, social sciences. We've got foreign languages. We've got both a major and minor in philosophy. We have a new space warfighting minor that is available for those of you who are interested in the space realm. And then we've also got some incredible opportunities in the clubs department. So like I said, I mean, you could go to West Point and work with a mule, or you could go to Navy and work with a goat, but the Air Force Academy is the only one that's going to offer you the opportunity to work with live birds of prey. You have the opportunity to be a member of the archery team, to work on our saber drill team. We've got a ton of different clubs that are available. And one of the coolest things about the Air Force Academy is that if there's not a club for it, we provide the opportunity for you to stand a club up. I know a couple of years ago, there was a graduate from the class of 2019 that really wanted to get into drone racing, and the Academy didn't have anything like that. And so he started working on the process, and he had the opportunity to create a drone racing team for the Academy that has actually since gone on to compete and has done some phenomenal things. They've done a lot of really cool stuff that I've had the opportunity to go and see and take a little bit of a part in. Moving on from that, and one of the biggest things that sets us apart is our airmanship programs. So on the top left here, you can see we have our free fall parachuting program. It's a super cool opportunity to skydive. And it's one of the only programs that allows you to do 5 solo free fall jumps with no tandem required at the start. So almost every single place that you go in the United States is going to require you to complete tandem jumps. The Academy doesn't do that. They're going to teach you everything you need to know on the ground, and they're going to take you up, and your first jump is going to be solo. So that's a super exhilarating experience. I had the opportunity to do that. If you can see on my service dress here, you actually earn your wings for it. Other than that, we've got opportunities for powered flight programs. You can kind of get up in the air in a couple different ways and see if flying is truly for you. We've got our powered flight and then our glider program, and both of those offer opportunities for nearly every cadet to take part and experience it, as well as teams that you can apply to join later on if it's something that you find you really like doing. You can see on the bottom left there, we've got our drone program that I talked about, in addition to a ton of other things. And let's talk about location. So Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's not on the water like your other service academies, but it's got some amazing opportunities otherwise. There's 58 14ers, which are mountains that go above 14,000 feet in elevation, the most of any state in the U.S. We've got opportunities for snowboarding, skiing, hiking, trail riding, you name it. The mountains are our home. We're literally right at the base of the Rocky Mountains, and it's a beautiful and incredible place to be able to spend 4 years. And then move on to the opportunities that you have after the academy. So as I mentioned earlier, I was a biology major, and I have a pilot slot coming out of the academy. So in a couple months here, I'm going to be going to pilot training for the Air Force. And if everything works out, hopefully I'll have the opportunity to fly fighter jets. There's not going to be a lot of places that provide the opportunity for you to study whichever major that it is you enjoy, and have the opportunity to pick up such a diverse variety of jobs. So you can see on the left column, we've got some of our more time-intensive career fields. These are going to be jobs that require a little bit more training in order for you to take part in, and as such require a little bit of a longer commitment once you graduate. So typically, whenever you go to a service academy, you're going to have a 5-year active duty service commitment after graduation. And that's the same for the Air Force Academy. But if you really want to be a pilot, or you want to be a doctor or a combat rescue officer, you're going to have to commit a little bit more time, because the Air Force is investing a little bit more into your training. In the center, you can see that we've got our 5-year commitment jobs that don't require a specific degree. Those are going to be jobs in a lot of different support positions. You've got personnel, acquisitions, intelligence, all that kind of stuff. And then the column on the right-hand side is going to be a 5-year commitment, but they require a specific degree. So you got to study something in particular in order to get one of those career fields. For example, if you want to be an aeronautical engineer for the Air Force, you have to have an aeronautical engineering degree. Pretty straightforward. With that being said, I just wanted to put up this slide so you guys can see my contact information there on the bottom right. Write it down. If you have any questions or you want any more information, please reach out to me. I love to talk to you guys, love to share my experiences. I'm super blessed to have the opportunities that I have up to this point. And then academyadmissions.com. That's also going to be a super important link. If you take anything from this brief, write down that website, because it will provide a ton of information and answer nearly every question that you have. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Thornton, and she's going to talk a little bit more about how to apply. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. All right.
Thank you, Lieutenant Casey. I really appreciate that. So I am going to share my screen now. All right, so I'm going to talk to you guys today about the application process. So most importantly, you have before you today a lot of representatives from these individual service academies, as well as the ROTC options. But most importantly for you students, this is a great opportunity for you. So no matter which route you decide to take, all of them are going to be welcome and great opportunities. Some basic steps to admission for any of the service academies. You have to be academically competitive, medically qualified, physically qualified, and have an official nomination. And what that does is make you be eligible for an offer of appointment. Some basic academic preparation and recommendations that we want to see in your high school curriculum. You want to make sure you take the most challenging curriculum that is available to you at your school, because that's what you're going to be evaluated on. We want you to take the 4 years of math. So I know that I remember being a senior at Oklahoma High School, I did not want to take pre-calc, but I knew I wanted to go to college. So even though you may have completed all of your credits, please go ahead and take that additional year of math. It's only going to set you up for success in the future. We like to see 4 years of science with a lab, 4 years of English, 3 years of history and social sciences, and 2 years of a modern foreign language. Again, while these are recommendations, we really want students to choose the best path for them, making sure that you try to encompass a really challenging curriculum with all of your other demands. We know that you are student athletes, student leaders, and you have a lot going on, so we don't want you to necessarily oversaturate yourself with the academic curriculum and suffer in other areas. You really want to try to figure out what that balance is and work hard to achieve that, and work hard to perform well in those courses that you are taking. For standardized tests, I know this year we are in a pandemic, but we really want you to try to get those test scores as quickly as you can. Again, we don't want you to do anything extraneous for test scores. So we don't want you guys driving to Tennessee or Alabama to just try to get a test, but we do want you to try your hardest in your area to get those tests. And each of the individual service academies are working on those measures for in the event that you are not able to test, we will still be able to evaluate your application. We want you to have those scores sent directly to us at USAFA, and we will super score. So that means we accept the highest score in each category. And then for students that are currently in our application process, we will accept your test scores through mid-February. Even though you have tested, again, we super score, so please keep testing if you are able to. It only helps you to improve yourself. The physical qualification, so being at the Air Force Academy, we are at just above 7,000 feet above sea level, and that is already challenging. So you really want to make sure you're practicing as hard as you can for the CFA. For those of you that are not seniors, you have more than enough time. So make sure you are doing these things as often as you can so you can prepare physically for what it's like to be an officer in the military. Fitness is not a one-time test just for the application. Fitness is a way of life at each service academy. So you really want to make sure you are working hard at these things and monitoring your health and fitness so that way you can be competitive when you are eligible. So nominations, so being here on this Academy Day is taking the first step. You want to make sure you apply to every nominating source for which you are eligible. So that is your congressional representative, your 2 senators, and the vice president. So at a minimum, every student that is applying for a service academy, you need to apply for those 4. And for those students who have military affiliations, you are eligible for those as well, but a minimum of 4 for everyone. Again, you must have a nomination to receive an appointment, but receiving a nomination does not guarantee you an appointment. Be sure to consult your congressional websites for that particular information. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for showing that to everyone. And again, you want to apply for that nomination as quickly as you can. You don't have to necessarily be done with your application. Your parents don't have to know Congressman Kelly. But you do need to go ahead and apply for that nomination. And then you do need a separate nomination for each service academy that you are applying to. Here's what we measure at the academy. So 50% of the measure is academics, 20% is extracurricular, and then 30% is your application file review. Again, you must be physically qualified, medically qualified, and have that official nomination in order to be eligible for that offer of appointment. So if you're applying to the academy, most importantly, like we said, like others have said before me, some students don't get in on their first try, and that's okay. That means the competition is fierce, but you're still a great student. So what we want you to do is either reapply, or if you're lucky enough to be selected for one of the the preparatory school or Falcon opportunities, please strongly consider those. We have on our campus the USAFA Preparatory School. It is a 10-month program and a full scholarship. And what that program is designed to do is to help you in terms of English, math, and science, to give you that additional preparation to enter directly into the academy the next year. We also offer a Falcon Foundation Scholarship, and Marion Military Institute is one of our Falcon schools, and I'm happy that they are here today as well. But that's a 10-month program at one of our 5 civilian prep schools, and it's a partial scholarship, but if you meet the requirements, you are about 99% sure to enter with the next year's class. So again, if you don't get into the academy directly in your application, and we offer you a prep school or a Falcon school opportunity, you want to take it. Unless something drastic happens, you will enter with the next class. What we just want you to do is go to the prep school or Falcon school, perform well, and enter with the next class. Before I get off, I really want to speak directly to the students because being a Mississippi native, I am very passionate about Mississippi District 1. As Mr. Smith said, I am from Okolona. I am familiar with the area, and I am really passionate about students from Mississippi District 1 coming to the Air Force Academy. I take pleasure in these speaking opportunities because I get to talk to my home state, and I get to represent the Air Force Academy because I love my job. As Deputy Chief of Selections, I play a strong hand in recommending those students to the admissions group or academy board for those who are going to get an offer. And I really want to see as many students from Mississippi take advantage of these great opportunities. Because most importantly, I feel that, Mississippi, we have an advantage over other areas and other states because we already have character. I know that because I'm from there, and I know those values that we have. And then we also have grit and determination. So you guys are already 2 steps into the process. All you got to do now is take advantage of these opportunities and complete your application because they're all great opportunities. Thank you, and that is all I have.
Good morning, everyone. I believe I'm up next here. Lieutenant Kevin Whalen here, currently sitting in Vicksburg, Mississippi with the tropical storm overhead, so it's a bit windy. If I cut out, please excuse me. But I do have first class cadet Hunter Blankenship online with me as well. He's a management major and is also on the rifle team at the academy. So if you have any specific questions that you think maybe a current cadet could answer better than I, now that I'm getting to be a little bit older and have been out of the academy for a few years, please feel free to hit him up on the chat. He's living it right now, so he's probably the best source, get it right from him. I'm going to start with a quick PowerPoint, and then I'm going to try to really highlight some of the reasons the Coast Guard Academy is a great option and what differs us from some of the other service academies. One moment when I share the screen. So I think you should have it up now. We'll quickly go through these slides here. The first slide here, you can see the beautiful Coast Guard Academy located in New London, Connecticut. You can see our sailing center out there, Jacobs Rock. Going through, the Coast Guard has 11 statutory missions. We do a lot of different things that a lot of people don't even realize we're involved with. For example, every buoy, whether it be on the river, up and down the coast, we take care of all the buoys. Search and rescue, law enforcement. I personally specialize in marine safety. I inspect all the commercial vessels, or on the flip side, do the investigations when there are casualties or things crash, things burn, or other tragedies occur. Here's another photo. We have Hamilton Hall here. This is the main administrative building at the Coast Guard Academy. Doing a little bragging here. We are the number one. We're number one in the regional colleges in the North. Number one top public school, regional colleges North. We're the number 2 most innovative school, and number 4 best undergraduate teaching, and the 11th best undergraduate engineering program. And we're considered one of the best 382 colleges in the U.S., along with our fellow service academies. Some statistics here to take a look at the Corps of Cadets. We are currently 40% female. I always like to highlight that. We do generally have the highest percentage of females against all the other service academies. Once again, we value this as a $400,000 tuition-free education opportunity. I'll look at the majors. We are primarily an engineering school, but there are some other opportunities. I myself was a marine and environmental science major. First class blanket ship is a management major. There's also government, and we now have cyber systems as our newest major, rounding them out. Sports, talked about them a little bit. That is one thing that does highlight us differently from the rest of the service academies. We are a Division III school. So if you do want to compete, athletically, and you're not quite sure you're going to be on the Division I level, you can definitely come to the Coast Guard Academy, compete on the Division III level. There are a few exceptions to this. Our pistol and rifle team are Division I, as is our sailing team, and they tend to do very, very well on the national level. List of all the sports here. Activities, much like the Air Force Academy highlighted, there's a lot of different clubs. While I was at the academy, I know I participated in surfing club. We are in New London, Connecticut. You drive a little bit to the east. You're in beautiful Rhode Island. Next thing you know, you can spend your afternoons on the ocean, get some much-needed stress relief. So Chase Hall. Chase Hall is where all the cadets live. Another point I'd love to highlight here is that the Coast Guard Academy is much smaller than the other service academies. There's the Corps of Cadets hovers around roughly 1,000 total. Vice, perhaps, West Point or Air Force or Navy, there's probably about 1,000 students per grade, if you will. This was a huge thing for me. I like it. Everyone knows everyone. There's no getting lost in the numbers at the Coast Guard Academy. I graduated with 233 other classmates. We all know each other. We all know the other people that were at the academy with us. It makes for some great social networking, and you always know that you have someone you can reach out to, or you're only a few steps away from knowing somebody. This is your general cadet room. I think you can see First Class Blankenship's video. You can see how he's currently living. Obviously, it's a little Spartan. It is a service academy. It's tough. I think the toughest part might be, you can tell there, is keeping those floors waxed and making sure everything's up to the regulations. Typical cadet day. You will be busy at the Coast Guard Academy, as you will at the other service academies. They'll start at 6 a.m. and it'll go to about whatever time you need to finish your work and make sure you're prepared for the next day. Sleep comes at a premium, and it's one of your most precious commodities. So the summer training program, the summers are great at the academy. They've spoken about the opportunities at the other academies. I can speak to a little bit about what my opportunities were like while I was at the academy. Your first summer, swab summer, you're getting trained up. You're learning how to be a cadet. Really, it all starts your third class summer when you spend 6 weeks on the Eagle, the tall ship there in the bottom right corner. Eagle is one piece that makes us a very, very different from the other service academies. She's a 295-foot bark that we actually took from Germany as a war prize at the end of World War II. Every officer in the Coast Guard sails on her. Literally every one of us has spent time on Eagle. There's over 22,000 square feet of sail, and she can make close to 20 knots under sail. You will climb, the mast there. The main mast is about 147 feet off the deck, or roughly 15 stories. It's an amazing teamwork opportunity to make, to get everything working on that vessel, as well as a leadership laboratory where we allow the cadets to instruct other cadets under the watchful eye of the permanently stationed crew. Second class summer, you do a little bit of everything. You're learning how to drive ships. We have the coastal sail program. We have these beautiful sailboats that you take out and go up and down the New England coast in the summertime with small crews, and learn in a smaller environment what it's like to actually be on a ship. The first class summer, probably your best summer, honestly. You can get some internships going there. I was able to go to the International Ice Patrol, spend some time in Newfoundland, tracking icebergs using GIS, or geospatial information systems. Application requirements, I'll tell you the big thing you need to do now is you need to go on uscga.edu, and you need to open up a Bears Den account and start to build your profile and get yourself noticed. Here are all the dates. You can find all this once again on in the Bears Den. Or I can, feel free, if you want, I can always email this PowerPoint out as well. So the last slide here I'm going to end with, that's my email on the bottom. Please write it down. Feel free, reach out to me. I love talking to new people. I love meeting people. If you have any questions and I don't have the answer, I definitely know who can get you the answer, and I will get you there. A few more things I just wanted to highlight before I sign out here is you got to realize that, a service academy, it's not for everybody. We're looking for candidates that are well-rounded across a myriad of attributes. To steal from the academy's mission, sound bodies, stout hearts, and alert minds. The small size I've already highlighted. Another piece I love is, and you don't really hear about, is some of the personal things I like about the academy is the friendships you'll form, at, the Coast Guard Academy. These will be, these are some of the closest people in my life. I have a ton of friends. I could pick up the phone. I could ring them any hour, day and night. They'll pick up that phone and they're willing to help, much like I would be if they were to call me. I don't think you'll find that level of brother and sisterhood at a normal university. It's just the tight, high pressure environment of the academies really allows you to mold together with your classmates and form some memories that are irreplaceable. Furthermore, I'd like to highlight that, the Coast Guard, when you graduate, you really get a responsibility early on. You could be the commanding officer of an 87-foot cutter as an O2. So that's only 2 years post-graduation. You're commanding a ship on the open seas and, interdicting drugs. I also like to, throw out there, we're humanitarian service. We do a lot of things to help the American public every day. There's not a day I don't go to work where I get to use my skills to help increase safety for my fellow Americans. And that, for me, that means a lot. I feel like, every day the Coast Guard is impacting America. And then I'll throw this out there. We have some tremendous duty locales for when you do graduate and get stationed. I've spent time in, New York City. I lived in South Beach, Miami for 4 years. I was in charge of a detachment in American Samoa, so a nice tropical island there. If Alaska is your thing, you can always head up there. But we have some really, really cool places along the water and some amazing real estate that you can go live in and execute the mission. With that, I'll turn it over. I'm going to be down below for questions and answers, as well as first class blankenship. I thank you for your time. Thank you, Congressman Kelly, and thank you, Robert, as always, for putting this together.
Howdy, y'all. This is Garrett Lipinski. I'm a midshipman at the Merchant Marine Academy. Give me a second to share my screen. All right. Okay, y'all should be able to see my screen now. So Merchant Marine Academy, I want to point out, first, the way I'm going to flow, most of the academies are all really similar. I mean, we all have differences, we all have little nuances, and we have really friendly rivalry between all of us, but at the end of the day, all the academies have a lot more in common than we do different. So first and foremost, the Merchant Marine Academy, what is it? A lot of us, even the guys that came to the Merchant Marine Academy, had no idea what it was before we showed up. So the Merchant Marine Academy consists of both privately owned and government-owned vessels. These ships are used to transport anything from like vehicles, fuel, and ammunition for the armed forces. Also, the Merchant Marine manages ships like the hospital ships. They'll do submarine tenders and research vessels for the Navy. Now, this is a really simple explanation of what the Merchant Marine Academy is. If you have any more detailed questions, please feel free to ask me afterwards. So obligation, I'm going to point this one out off the get-go because it's really unique to the Merchant Marine Academy. You have pretty much two options upon graduation. You can either, so first is you go like the standard maritime route. Maritime route, that means you maintain your Coast Guard license for 6 years. You work in the maritime industry for 5 years. And you also serve in the Navy Reserve for 8 years. Or this is the one that's special. You do 5 years in any active duty branch. It's Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and even NOAA. A lot of our graduates actually are midshipmen that are here at the Academy presently. They came to the Academy because they didn't know which branch they wanted to go into. And so they're like, hey, I want to be a pilot, but I don't know if I want to fly Air Force or if I want to fly Army. So they split the difference, come to Merchant Marine Academy, and then while they're here, they talk to alum and people to just make a better educated decision on where they're going to go. So that's one of our big key things. Next, I'm going to move on to our campus. Our campus is the smallest, I'm pretty sure, the smallest of all the academies. We're also the smallest student body, only about 1,000 people, a little less actually than that. So we're 82 acres. We're located about 30 minutes away, like train ride away from Long Island. And we're also about a 40-minute drive from the beaches. So if you look at the little map in the bottom left, you see this tiny red dot. We're pretty much on one of the little peninsulas right by the Thorogs Neck Bridge in New York, if y'all know where that is. Really pretty area. And it's kind of neat because there's quite a few academies up in the Northeast area. So while our campus might be small, however, our midshipmen don't actually spend all their time here. Merchant Marine Academy is really special, as in our midshipmen will spend up to a year at sea. They'll spend a minimum of 330 days up to if they're a deck, or 300 days if they're an engineer. And it's done in two waves. So your first time you go out to sea, you're out at sea for 4 months. And for that 4 months, you're on a cargo ship, more than likely. And that cargo ship can go anywhere. A buddy of mine, in about a month, he's going to be leaving and going to Northern Europe, be sailing all around that area. Another buddy of mine is going to be going to South Korea, hopping on a ship there and then sailing all around that Asia area. And these are guys my own age. We do this your second year at the Merchant Marine Academy, as well as your third year. Your third year is when you go out for 8 months. During the 8 months, you have more options for ships you can be on. For that, they'll put us on merchant. So they'll put us on Military SEAL Command, MSC vessels. They'll put us on Navy vessels, put us on tankers. And then one of the even special routes that you can do is you can hop on a U.S. Coast Guard icebreaker and go to either the Arctic or the Antarctic, depending on where it's going that year. So that's one of the really neat things that a lot of our midshipmen and alumni, they talk about it and how that formed them. While we don't have all like the trainings and such that Army, Navy, and Air Force have on their campuses, We do have our C year, and that's really where the base of our character development comes from. However, you'll notice 330 days is not quite a full year. So with that extra time, you can use that to do internships. And for those, you can go to either any of the opportunities that Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard has. A lot of our our current midshipmen, they'll be going to jump school soon. Some of them will be going down to pilot, internships, and really anything that you can think of. It's pretty much like the catch-all of the academies, as you can do all those opportunities. Another area where the Merchant Marine Academy differs is instead of offering 20 majors, we only offer 5. And you're probably like, whoa, that's not too many. So let me explain these to you. We have our deck licenses and we have our engine licenses. So for the deck department, you got marine transportation. That's your basic. It's about a 160 credit hour course where you learn nautical science and maritime business. If you step that up a little bit, you got marine logistics and security. This is your base in nautical science and boat handling. But you also take more advanced classes in logistics and security, as the name implies. Also, anything to point out about logistics and security majors is a lot of these guys go on and will study law afterwards, because it really just sets you up for that route well. Moving on, we got the engine. So for our engineers, we have 3 options. We have our marine engineering, which is our basic, again, about 160 credit hours, and it teaches you how pretty much just to fix a ship, how to keep a ship going on a day-to-day basis. The engines that are in ships are absolutely giant, and hence it takes 4 years to learn how to maintain them. If you want to step that up, you can go onto Marine Engineering Systems. This is the course I'm taking, so if any of y'all have questions about this in particular, I'm more than happy to help. This is a systems degree. What systems is it's like a base of mechanical engineering with a little bit of electrical and some fluid. The goal is that way you can, at the time you graduate, you can design a ship. For the capstone project, what some of our alums did a year ago, I guess now they're alum, but when they were midshipmen, they designed a Coast Guard icebreaker that was nuclear powered. And so that was really neat. I don't know if the Coast Guard is actually going to be using it, but it was a design project that they had nevertheless. And then our final degree is Marine Engineering and Shipyard Management. Marine Engineering Shipyard Management is your base in marine engineering. It still teaches you how to work on ships, how to fix them up, how to get them going, but you also learn the business skills of how to manage a shipyard. For that reason, this was the most popular because you can get business and engineering skills at the same time. And what graduates earn. So when you graduate, you're going to get 3 things rather than your standard 2. You get your bachelor's of science, you get a commission as an ensign or second lieutenant into the branch of your choosing, and you also get a Coast Guard license as a merchant marine officer, which is either a 3rd mate, a deckies, or your 3rd assistant engineer. Reason I'm pointing this out early is because this is what makes the Merchant Marine Academy different. Well, we have a lot of the standard, as in like with the admissions process and such, you have to get your nomination. All that's the same throughout all the academies. Merchant Marine Academy is different, as in you can get 3 things when you graduate rather than 2, and you can go to any branch rather than whatever one is specific to that academy. Our athletics, here we are very similar to Coast Guard, being a small school. We have about 27 varsity athletic programs, and Coast Guard is our rival, and we play them. I think right now they're planning on coming over to our campus in about a month or so to compete in rifle and pistol. That should be a lot of fun. I'll be honest, the Coast Guard is definitely expected to win that one. So that's our athletics. Again, because we're D3, it's if you want to play athletics, you want to play volleyball, but don't think you quite make the D1 teams, come over to here, we'll put you on volleyball and such. So moving back down. So I just told you about some of the athletics, which is upstairs at the academy, which is up for like campuses and such. You go downstairs down to the waterfront, you have your waterfront programs. Here we have our capital vessels. Those are our training vessels, which is the King's Pointer, which is a old NASA rocket recovery vessel. You have a few barges, you have tugboat, and just another simple training vessel. I do want to point out that our training vessels, unlike our fellow maritime academies, are not the ones you spend your C year on. C year is spent on large, like the 1,000-foot commercial vessels. So you'll be spending your time on and actually learning about. This is just for interim training or when we have COVID and we can't put you all on ships. Our competitive programs, we have offshore sailing, like the Naval Academy. Offshore sailing, it's a really neat program. If you've never had the chance to experience it, I would highly recommend it. We also have keelboat, dinghy, and crew. I do want to point out that all those opportunities, they do athletically recruit if you are interested. Finally, down by our waterfront, we have Power Squadron. Power Squadron is just the opportunity to learn about power boats and goof around with friends pretty much. Great time, especially if you want some low-key waterfront involved activity. Moving back upstairs, you got your regimental band. So our band does a few things, but what's kind of neat about our band is they actually have their own company. So rather than band just being their own, like taking people from all companies across campus, band has their own building, their own regimental structure and such. That's their own. We also have like a rock band, choir, jazz band, string ensemble, etc. So if you're interested, I'd highly recommend it. Our band is a really neat opportunity here on campus. Moving down to my second to last slide, here's some stats for the class of 2023. I'm not going to read those off to you. Y'all can read them. But all the academies are competitive. You need to get your nomination. That's something that remains constant. What makes the United States Merchant Marine Academy unique is that we're slightly less competitive than the other academies to get into. Historically, that's been simply because nobody knows about us. And I don't blame you. So if you're interested, you have any more questions about our stats and such, please reach out. One other thing. What differs us from the other academies is our graduation rate is slightly less. Reason being our academics it's more condensed because you're only spending 3 years here on campus to get a 4-year degree. And so that does make academics challenging. However, you're not competing against your classmates. So you and your classmates actually, instead of like developing this mindset of, hey, I need to compete against you to get my desired job, I can help you. Because my buddy, he's going to be going Air Force flight. I'm going to be going Navy flight. Another friend wants to go Marine flight. And so we can all help each other out knowing that there's no competition in the end between us. So finally, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Mr. Healer. His email is off to the top. It's on the bottom, or top right, I guess, down there. My email is below. If you'd like to screenshot it, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to reach out to answer any questions you have. Also, our website has some more information about admissions, as well as 2 phone numbers down on the bottom left that you can call if you have any more questions. Finally, I want to mention to y'all, just real quick, brief perspective of a midshipman. And the reason why I came here, because I was in your same shoes 2 years ago. I was applying to the academies, and at first I was dead set on going Air Force. Air Force is a great school, by the way. Absolutely love them. So I was 100%, I want to go Air Force, I want to go Air Force. And one day my flight instructor, he mentioned, he was like, hey, I know you really like the water. Why don't you go Navy? I was like, ooh, that's interesting. So I started applying to the Naval Academy, and I couldn't make up my mind between Air Force, Navy, went back and forth. And finally, when it came down to the wire, I was like, you know what, I'm going to make this decision at a later date when I know more. So I went Merchant Marine. And ever since showing up here, I've really enjoyed it, made great friends, study together, we get along together, like we work out together. You really do make good friends and good connections here. So if you want to go military, especially if you don't know what route exactly you want to go, I would highly, highly, highly recommend the Merchant Marine Academy. And with that, I think I turn it over to Marion with Colonel Bowen.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. As Cadet Lipinski said, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Bowen from Marion Military Institute in Marion, Alabama. And thank you, Congressman Kelly and Mr. Robert Smith for inviting me again. I enjoyed the trip to Ole Miss last year, and I hope to get back there next year. And I'm going to give a good shout out to my buddy, Steve Guyton, Mr. Mississippi. I run into him everywhere we go in Mississippi. So I'm the director of the Service Academy program, graduated from West Point in 1982. Marion Military Institute is located on the west side of Alabama, near Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Montgomery. I applaud all of you young folks who are looking at Service Academy route for commissioning. It's a honest and noble undertaking, and we need you in our country. Excuse me. We've got several Mississippians here this year. I've already interviewed 2 of them for West Point. Hopefully get into West Point this year. Last year we had Mr. Elijah Tucker from your district, from 1st Congressional, a great young man, Swamp Fox here. Now he's a plebe at West Point. Very proud of the young man from Congressional District number 1, Mississippi. This is my 4th year here in this job, and we started with 125 cadets this year who look to go to service academies. I hope to get about 100 of them in the academies this year. So I feel pretty confident in what each of the academies do want. So my message to you young folks and your parents, if you're listening, is if you don't get into your academy this year, if your plan A is to go to West Point, Annapolis Air Force, Coast Guard, or Merchant Marine, and you don't get there, come to Marion. We have quite a few Mississippians here competing for appointments to the 5 academies. So we'll get you back in your plan A. You got to work. You got to work academically, physically, and leadership-wise, but it's worth it, and you can do it. Our program is only 1 year long. Our Service Academy program is 1 year long, and I need a 24 ACT or 1160 SAT in order to have you enrolled here. We had 90 appointments last year. I'm sorry, 96 appointments, and 90 of our folks got appointments. 96 appointments total. Two of our boys had 3 appointments each, and 2 of them had 2 appointments each. We have about 350 Marion made cadets and middies in the 5 academies right now. So you're going to run into a Marion cadet if you do go to an academy after here. And there's no other school in the United States that puts more cadets or midshipmen into the academies than Marion, except for West Point Prep, Air Force Prep, and Navy Prep. So we're number 1 in the United States. We're the only school that permits all 5 academies trust to send their sponsored cadets to. It might take 2, 3, or even 4 times to get into an academy. I got a young lady here at Marion who's in her 4th time, 1 in high school and 3 times here. She's already graduated from Marion, but she's sponsored now from West Point. So she'll get into West Point this year, but she wants it badly enough, and she's doing whatever she needs to do in order to get to West Point. We've already got 1 West Point cadet designated as on the track to earning a commission or earning an appointment this year, and I should have probably a Coast Guard Academy cadet by the end of this year, in December. So I'm going to talk quickly about our academics, physics, physical, and military development program. We are fully accredited. You'll take chemistry, physics, pre-calculus, and English composition if you come here. Most of your professors have PhDs, doctorates, and they've been in the military also. You're going to have an academic advisor, somebody from the Air Force, somebody from the Coast Guard, somebody from the Navy or Army like me, who's going to be your academic advisor and watching your academic progress as you go throughout your year here. All of our professors are available for tutoring. We also have a tutoring center, which is called our Academic Success Center. We also right now, which is going on right now this Saturday, is 8 hours of our 32 hours total of ACT and SAT prep courses. I have an expert SAT, ACT tutor from Birmingham come here 4 Saturdays this fall, and is teaching and tutoring cadets in ACT, SAT prep. So if you need a boost or bump up in ACT or SAT prep, we do help you with that. Physically, you're going to do physical training 3 mornings a week at 5:45 with First Sergeant Dunphy and me. We have 2 great weight rooms, 14 sets of weights, 14 bench presses, pull-up bars. We have a 25-yard swimming pool. We also will administer your CFA or any PFE, PRT, whatever you need. We just administered to over 100 cadets this past week, the CFA and the Navy-specific test. The Coast Guard Academy comes here about every 2 months and does administer the PFE to you. So you can take that with the Coast Guard Academy if you come here. And they do visit quite often. Leadership development, you have an incredible number of opportunities to develop leadership-wise. You can hold a Corps of Cadets chain of command position. We have a couple, 3, maybe even freshmen who are on battalion staff this year. The chaplain, the S5. We have quite a few who. There's clubs and teams. One of the most important, or one of the most popular, is Swamp Fox. Swamp Fox tryouts is going on right now. The young boys have been up since 8 o'clock last night, and they're going through their paces of physical and mental testing to see if they can make the Swamp Fox standard. We have Ranger Challenge with ROTC here. We have a scuba club. We have a Flying Tigers club. We have certified flight instructors who come here from Montgomery and Birmingham and will test you in Tuscaloosa to test you on your flight skills. That's a neat club. We have quite a few Service Academy cadets in that. We also have an obstacle course race team, which competes regionally. One of our boys won the Atlanta Tough Mudder last year. You can lead in your classrooms. There's all opportunities. Just take the lead in setting example. We're a high touch, high contact. Your tactical officers and Colonel Passmore, the commandant, and I will get to know you personally. And I interact with cadets very often, probably 6 to 7 times a day. I'm interacting with a cadet in my office to make sure that he or she's on track. You're not going to have a better experience that's going to be closer to a Service Academy-like experience than coming to Marion. We are a miniature Service Academy modeled after West Point. We're more Army centric, but we do put cadets into all the academies, West Point, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine, Army and Navy also. We're a forward assist to you. If I can borrow from my M16 days in the Army, we push you forward. And I will start engaging with you if you do sign up to Marion. I'd recommend if you do sign up to come here about January of next year, 2021 is a good time to enroll. And I will start engaging with you in the summer, probably May or June, to make sure that you're on track with your nomination with Congressman Kelly and Mr. Smith, and also ACT, SAT, and your application to your academies, of course. So we give you great visibility. One of the great advantages of coming here is that the academies come to us. We have Navy interviews this month. We have Merchant Marine interviews this month. We have, we've already had Coast Guard Academy interviews. So people come to us, admissions officers come to us and interview our cadets so that they give them a leg up in knowing who they are. So overall, we're, as academies, we're a character development institute, and we love to have you here. I'm going to post my contact information on the chat, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
All right, I think that turns it over to me. Thank you, Colonel Bowen, and thank you, Mr. Robert Smith and the Congressman's office for inviting me to speak again. I was able to come to Oxford last year and give this same spiel for Army ROTC. I'm currently a cadet finishing up at Mississippi State Army ROTC, and I have, like it said in my intro, I've finished ROTC and now I just need to graduate. And that's what I plan to do. After this, I'm going to go to be an Army aviator. So I'll be a helicopter pilot for the United States Army National Guard, or Mississippi Army National Guard. So I'm glad all y'all have an interest in going to the academies. And the academies, of course, that's great, very prestigious, but not everybody will get in. And so there you have your option for like Marion maybe. But even if that's not an option for you, you can always consider ROTC. The ROTC is available for Army, it's available for Air Force and Navy. And as far as I know, that's only 3. I'm going to go ahead just for the remainder of this, share my screen for a little information slide for our recruiter, so y'all can have plenty of time to jot that down. Let's see. All right. All right, here you'll see our recruiter, Mr. Michael Hunter. He can give you any information you need about Army ROTC specifically. And one thing I'll go ahead and tell you, if you're considering ROTC, you should apply for the National High School Scholarship, which you can get to that on Go Army Ed, and put Mississippi State in your top 3 if you're considering Mississippi State is where you might want to come to ROTC, and go ahead and apply to the colleges that you think you might want to go to. So go ahead and apply to Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama, whichever college you think you might want to go to. And now I just want to tell y'all some of the differences in if you want to still be an officer in the military, but don't necessarily go to or want to go to one of the military academies. So when you do ROTC, you're still a college student. You're still in college. You get to enjoy the college experience. If you come to Mississippi State, you know, we're an SEC school. We have great D1 sports here, and I'm sure all of you being from Mississippi, you're fans. And so we even have had cadets that were on the D1 sports team. So we've had football players, we've had members of the track team, cross country, tennis, golf, whatever you name it. We have had it. Also, another thing is you see all these places, these campuses that the academies are at. They're great, they're pretty, and the thing is you stay on them, those campuses, for 4 years straight, and you don't get to leave much, and it's not very fun to be locked in your cinder block cell or your cinder block dorm the whole time. Granted, you get to do a lot during the summers and everything, but here's the thing, you get to go to all those schools that you go to at the military academies. You can go to those through ROTC. So you can go to airborne school, you can go to air assault, you can go to what they call CTLT and CLDT, where you go shadow second lieutenants in the active duty Army, or CLDT, where you can go shadow at a basic training. Also, you have the option, if you do RTC, you can join the Mississippi National Guard, or whichever state you're in, you can join the National Guard in that state, and you can be what they call an SMP cadet, where you're in RTC and in the National Guard. So for myself, I've been in the National Guard just as long as RTC, and I've been there acting as a second lieutenant in an engineer company, and Congressman Kelly's old unit, the 223rd Engineer Battalion. So I've gotten a lot of experience there that you can't really get from just doing ROTC, because it really is different when you have the whole resources of the Army to train with in realistic environment. Is very different from doing it cadet style. Another thing, all the clubs that are at these schools, they seem really cool, but we have those clubs and more here at like a campus like Mississippi State. Again, I'm not just going to argue for Mississippi State, but any college in general. I mean, and another thing too, we have over 175 majors here at Mississippi State. So if you don't want to limit yourself to 5 or 20 or 25 majors that are all good majors at those schools, here you have a million options. I mean, you can choose anything, and if you decide to change your major, which a lot of people do, you have the freedom to do that if you're an RTC, versus if you're on that 4-year program in a military academy, you kind of got to stay in it till the end. And if you don't like it, that's just what you get stuck with. Also, RTC, you can go active duty, National Guard, or reserve from RTC. You don't have to go just active duty. It's one of the best ways to be a National Guard officer. That was my intent coming in, was to be a National Guard officer, and so it was the option for me. It might not be the option for you, but you can definitely compete for active duty if you come to ROTC versus going to an academy. ROTC can prepare you for active duty just like the academies. I know it was mentioned on my intro, when I went to the Cadet Summer Training Advanced Camp at Fort Knox, we had cadets from West Point, from Norwich, VMI, military schools, Marion, and I was still able to beat them out just because Mississippi State prepared me so well to be there. And when you get into ROTC and when you get to these military academies, you'll realize that you're competing for points, OML points, to be high on this list, to go active duty and get the branch you want. And that's part of your point. So ROTC can also provide you multiple ways to get these points, because they rely on how active you are in extracurricular activities, like whether it's intramural sports, having a part-time job is on there. So you can have a part-time civilian job if you're an ROTC, like I do. There's just so many options, and it gives you a lot more freedom to do ROTC. And for some of you, that might be a good thing, but it does take more discipline to get all of your things done if you have all this freedom and you're not necessarily on a strict schedule like you would be at a military academy, but it's definitely worth it. I majored in civil and environmental engineering, but here I am, I'm about to be a pilot in the National Guard. So I didn't have to major in aviation major to be aviation. I was still able to be a pilot and compete to be a pilot with a non-aviation degree. So that's another good part about just coming to college versus going to a military academy. Other than that, I just ask that you all write down this information and that you all apply for that National High School Scholarship that can be either 3 or 4 years. You get everything paid for, just like the military academies. You can also, the good part about coming to a school is you can get private scholarships, so you can just stack those scholarships up. I know you all have good ACT scores, so stack those scholarships up, and you can end up actually making a lot of money to come to school. I know last year I got over $20,000 in scholarship refunds, plus all the monthly money I had from the National Guard and ROTC in the form of stipends and GI Bill. So you can do well and you can be very independent if you come to college versus going to the military academy. Other than that, apply to Mississippi State, apply to the colleges you think you might want to go to. And for those couple of you that are on the phone, I know you can't see this slide I'm sharing. So if you want to write down Mr. Hunter's number, it is 662-325-1586. I'll say that one more time. It is 662-325-1586. And I'm going to stick around for questions after. Lieutenant Colonel Posey is our current professor of military science, and he'll be here for questions too. He went to West Point, so he kind of knows a little bit about both military academy and ROTC. So we can answer any question you might have. Now I think I'm supposed to turn it over to somebody from like that school up north. I think it's Lieutenant Gerald, so he can tell you about Ole Miss. But
yes, yeah, Cadet Brandon, if you can hear me, I guess the first thing I would ask is, are you ready for my presentation? To which you should naturally say, hell yeah, damn right. But
well, okay, yeah. Well, don't piss and miss again. So anyway, appreciate it, everybody, and thank y'all for your time.
All right. Appreciate all that good stuff about Army ROTC. I'm going to continue on the ROTC bit a little bit, talking about Naval ROTC, which, just like the Naval Academy, is going to give people an opportunity to commission either the Navy or the Marine Corps. I think Mr. Smith introduced me as Navy ROTC, but the N in NROTC is for Naval, so Navy and Marine Corps. And we'll go through a couple slides here. I'm currently outside at the home of our North Mississippi Blue and Gold officer. So the rain is let up, but if it starts again and you can't hear me, Mr. Smith, please just let me know, and I'll throw on some earphones. But yes, my name is Lieutenant Austin Gerald. I did graduate from a service academy, so all of the things that Cadet Brandon said about service academies, they have some truth to them. And so now I work at ROTC as a lieutenant, as an 03, and have gotten to see the other side. So that's offered me some really interesting perspectives, both on my original experience and then this one that I offer to students down here at Ole Miss. So we are at the University of Mississippi. We are also in what Naval ROTC calls a consortium with the University of Memphis. So we're two separate units. We have one 06 Captain Boss who goes in between the two. So if anyone here is interested in the University of Memphis, I could speak to that. But our unit here at the University of Mississippi was founded back in 1946 in honor of the great Mississippian Admiral John Sidney McCain Sr., who, for all you out there who are thinking, I really want to go to a service academy, but what happens if I don't get in? Well, you can look to Admiral McCain's example. He went to Ole Miss for a year, similar to if there are any Marine Corps hopefuls out there, very similar to someone you might have heard of, a general by the name of John Lejeune, or Lejeune, for those of you not as familiar with the French pronunciation of his name. Both flag officers who were instrumental in our success earlier in the last century. One, Admiral McCain, went to Ole Miss for a year, reapplied to the Naval Academy, and received admittance. General Lejeune did the same thing, but down at a place called LSU that I'm sure nobody wants to talk about today. So do keep that in mind as an option to you. We have several cadets that are midshipmen, that are successful with that. We had two who picked up our national scholarship. Then they really enjoyed their freshman year at Ole Miss, but maybe Cadet Brandon understands that they felt the need that some other place besides Ole Miss would work out for them. They didn't choose Mississippi State, but they chose the Naval Academy, applied. They received an appointment as freshmen, and now they're plebes up there. So that is an option that's out there to you. And all these details that I'm about to go through are all gravy to the bottom line, baseline fact of everyone that's out there that's interested in either a Navy or Marine Corps commission. If you want to apply to the Naval Academy, I graduated from there. I understand that's great. And I highly encourage you to do that. Hence, I sported this button today. It's a great button. Hope everybody can see it. But please, please, please also apply to the Navy and Marine Corps. They're two separate applications. Please apply to those four-year programs because the service academies are a great opportunity, but if they don't work out for you for some reason, we would really like to have you in an NROTC program. And it helps if you have the scholarship, especially here at Ole Miss starting this year. The University of Mississippi recognizes the caliber of student that gets a four-year scholarship, and they're willing to cover your room and board here at Ole Miss for your first year if you get that four-year scholarship. Now, if you don't get it, because the four-year, just like an appointment, is a steep hill to climb, one that all of you out there I'm sure could climb with the resources and support that you have. If you feel intimidated by that climb, please contact us, which I'll give my information after this. But if you don't, you can come in your freshman year and do what's called our college program, which you're not getting any money to pay for school, but you will be a midshipman just like someone on scholarship and everything in all aspects except for that tuition. So you'll get uniforms, you'll take the same naval science class, you'll do the same PT. You might just be getting a 3-year or a 2-year scholarship instead of a 4-year scholarship. And we can talk about that more after, because our scholarship options are a little narrower than Army ROTC because we don't have a National Guard type route that you can take. You have to get a scholarship from either the National Office of the Marine Corps or the Navy in order to stay in our program. By your junior year, if you haven't gotten a scholarship, 4, 3, or 2-year variety, we have to part ways with you. And as long as that's a positive parting, give a great recommendation for you to attend Officer Candidate School. However, getting a scholarship is integral to getting a commission through NROTC. So that's why I go probably on a little tangent and talk about that. But yes, so mention consortium with the University of Memphis. This semester we have about 55 students, which is probably a little smaller than our Army counterparts downstairs. We're all in the same building up here in Oxford. But that's about an average size unit for an NROTC unit. If you start to look into NROTC a little bit, you'll notice, like Cadet Brandon showed the picture of the road sign that goes to the state building. We're not at state. This is the only institution where NROTC is in the state of Mississippi. There are some states out there like Arkansas, Kentucky, who have no NROTC unit at all. NROTC as a program has a smaller footprint and is offered at fewer schools. We think they're really good schools, so that's why we're there. But do keep that in mind as you start to look. If you're looking for NROTC at state, it's not because you didn't punch the right thing into Google, it's because it's not there. So we'll keep going. So our scholarship, there's anybody out there working with a recruiter and he's talking about, hey, once you get that application through, we'll show up with a big cardboard check to your high school. The check will say $180,000 on it. If you are from Mississippi and you do some quick math, you know that 4 years at the University of Mississippi as an in-state student won't cost you that. But as I mentioned, and you apply to our 4-year scholarship, being here from Mississippi, you're not applying to a single school. You're applying to the scholarship, and then you apply to the school in a separate plane. When those two things meet, then you can apply the scholarship at that school. But if you apply for the scholarship, get it, and you get into Vanderbilt, the University of Washington, or the University of Florida because you want to depart Mississippi for whatever reason, then you can do that. You just have to get into that school, and you have to have the 4-year scholarship. So that's another way to look at that number. 4-year degree, or as Cadet Brandon mentioned a little bit, you do have more choice in major. Some of those majors, they might take more than the 4 years. Service Academy, one of the benefits probably from the systems perspective is that when you don't have that civilian job, they can make sure that you're taking as many classes as required to finish in 4 years. For some people, that hurts a little bit more than others. Here in NROTC, if your degree is going to take more than 4 years, there is a way for us to make that happen. And then, of course, like anyone who's going to get a commission, you will have a guaranteed job after this is over. The scholarship does pay tuition and associated fees, as mentioned, and then just starting this year. The university will cover your room and board if you have the 4-year, but that's separate. That's an Ole Miss scholarship that doesn't have to do with NRTC directly, so it's not on this slide. You get a stipend every month, which goes up as you go through your years in the program, and then you get a book stipend. So we're talking tuition, monthly stipend, books is NRTC. Notice on there, room and board is not on there. That's why our commanding officer up here, Captain David Neal, was really excited to work with the University of Mississippi and get that University of Mississippi scholarship going. But that is not necessarily the case at all schools that have NRTC. The nearest one in this vicinity that I also know that has it is Tulane University in New Orleans. But you'll have to look at each individual school. And on our national website, there is a page that lists those additional benefits for students that have the 4-year. But we can talk about that more in question and answer if you'd like to. Guaranteed jobs, so things that you can do. I know that when I first looked at a Navy commission, I thought everyone was a surface warfare officer or drove ships around, but that is not entirely the truth. We also have naval aviators, like our Merchant Marine midshipman is going to be joining us in the sea services. Congratulations. We also still have some backseat slots available for aviation, so naval flight officers, submarine officer, which I think is pretty neat because that's what I did. Lived in a boat that sinks on purpose for a little bit. I can answer questions about that if you'd like. We have special warfare or Navy SEALs that some guys might have heard about. And then for the Marine scholarship students, remember you can go ground, or in the Marine scholarship program, you can get guaranteed to be a Marine pilot before you graduate, which is an opportunity that is not available in the same format at the Naval Academy. Then we also have summer cruises, which you go on the same summer cruises as the Naval Academy midshipmen, not necessarily in the same order. Right now, before coronavirus, there's a lot of talk about meshing those together, making them more uniform, and then coronavirus has put a lot of summer training things on hold for a little bit. But starting, ideally, coronavirus allows us to go back to recedes, allows us to go back to our original plan. The summer coming out of high school, you go up to Illinois, get some initial military indoctrination training, whether you're Navy option or Marine option. The summer after your freshman year, you go on career orientation for midshipmen. So you may come in as a Navy option or a Marine option, but you could maybe change between the two. We have that happen. That's why the summer after your freshman year, you go spend a week with the Surface Navy, a week with the Submarine Navy, a week with Aviation, which is both Navy and Marine Corps, and then a week with the Marine Corps to kind of get a little taste of all those. Because another thing that's important about NRTC, and this is also the truth at the Naval Academy as well, but you actually get more time up there. You can get the 4-year scholarship. You might come to Ole Miss. You don't know if you like Ole Miss or not. You don't know if you like the Navy Marine Corps or not. You take that first year, you spend that time in the program, then you go out to the real Navy and Marine Corps, because here at Ole Miss, we can only show you state or at any school. It's a college campus. The environment is not the same as the real Navy and Marine Corps. You go out and see the real Navy and Marine Corps, then at that point, if you still are really unsure and you would like to go do something else with your life, you can leave and you owe us no money. Your nation just thanks you for considering taking the great opportunity to lead sailors and Marines, but that's okay. So if you're also intimidated about the idea of an obligation, for us, that obligation doesn't set in until the beginning of your sophomore year. Here's just some pictures from summer training opportunities that the mids get to participate in. So getting out there. Now all the Marine option students, part of your requirements to graduate will be to attend officer candidate school between your junior and senior year. So that motivating picture of the guys moving the log down in the bottom right, it's probably over at officer candidate school. To be eligible, you have to be a citizen. You need to be over 17 years old, but not older than 23. The ACT, now I know Mr. Broom answered some questions about this. The Academy has changed its stance a little bit on the ACT for this coming year, but as of right now, that is not the case for the Naval ROTC scholarship. So since this is Mississippi, I would assume most people take the ACT. So it's a 22 in English and a 21 in math for a combination of 47. And you might say, Lieutenant Gerald, I thought that you had to know math to be in the Navy. 22 plus 21 is not 47, to which I would say you are correct. But that's just the way that the requirement is written. Those are the baseline for each of those sections, and then one of those sections needs to be a bit above the minimum to where they add together 47. Like, I think all the commissioning sources that have talked today, send us all your tests because we do super score, if you're wondering about that. And then the Marines do have a different SAT, ACT requirement. Theirs is more straightforward. It's just a minimum composite of 22. You hit that and you're good to go as far as the academic portion are concerned. For your physical requirements to apply for the scholarship, you don't have to take the Navy PRT. You just need to take what we call the applicant fitness assessment, which is a mile, push-ups and sit-ups. For the Marine Corps options, you will have to take a Marine Corps PFT. That will be arranged at a local recruiting station once you get the ball rolling administratively to apply for the Marine Corps scholarship. Service obligation is the same for ROTC students as it is for all the Service Academy sources that have spoken today. So there is no obligation, again, when applying. Make this explicit because I get this question a good amount. You can think of the first year of your scholarship as free. You just have to apply for it and receive it. Some more pictures of life after one commissions. And yeah, Mr. Smith, I know I'm last, so I can leave this this slide up. I'll stop sharing my screen, I suppose, and let it turn all back over to you. Look forward to hearing some questions. Appreciate everybody's attention.
All right, thank you very much, Lieutenant Gerald. Lieutenant Gerald, thank you, sir. Let me just put this back here. All right. Let's see if everybody can see me. Yes, okay, I'm on the screen. Thank you, speakers. That was excellent. Thank you so much for that. We are running slightly behind what I thought where I thought we would be, but that is okay. We'll try our best to squeeze in some of these questions. This one will be for Major Gilbert. Will PSAT scores be looked at as well as National Merit Scholarship? National Merit Scholar.
Yes, so we will look at PSAT scores if you do not have any SAT or ACT scores by the application deadline. However, if you want your file considered now, you're going to need an SAT or a ACT score with writing. As far as National Merit Scholars go, we do take that into consideration. That's going to fall in your leadership portion of the application.
Thank you. And Mrs. Thornton, do you think you could answer that as well, briefly? Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't get to my mute button fast enough.
That's all right.
Currently, the Air Force Academy is still requiring test scores. We are working on ways to be able to look at the PSAT, but again, as Major Gilbert echoed, we really want to see those official ACT or SAT scores if you want to be looked at early. And then once we realize that you can't have them is when we will use those alternate methods to evaluate you.
Great, thank you so much. Here's a question. I think this is probably for me. Can applicants use the same nomination and application form for all of the academies, or is it a separate application? No, it is the same application form for us. So if you complete one, as long as you let me know which academies you want to seek a nomination for, that will do for all of them. All right, next.
If you don't mind, I just had one little piece I wanted to add on that I
Sure.
forgot to reference earlier. I guess one piece that still makes the Coast Guard Academy unique from the other service academies is that we do not require a congressional nomination. So I would urge all the applicants, if you're going to be applying to the other service academies, it's not that big of a jump to go ahead and start an application with the Coast Guard Academy and apply. That's literally all you need to do is apply to the Coast Guard Academy. There is no separate nomination process for us.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Whalen. I'm so sorry I forgot to mention that. That is an important thing to mention. To Midshipman Blankenship, could you tell us a little bit what it's like being a midshipman at the Coast Guard Academy?
You're muted right now, Hunter.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Can y'all hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. So thank you for having me. It's a hard life. We, as we put up the schedule earlier, it's wake up at 6 o'clock. Usually you're not done with school at least until 12 o'clock, sometimes 3 in the morning. Then you got to wake up at 6 again. But you do have a lot of fun opportunities. As I mentioned, as Lieutenant mentioned, you have the opportunities to go on Eagle. You have opportunities to go on operational units in the Coast Guard. So you really do get these chances to actually interact with other officers, other enlisted people. You actually get to do the job that the Coast Guard does. And it really provides interesting opportunities. I personally have partaken in 2 drug busts, and we've done fisheries, migrations stuff. So I've had a lot of interesting experience that the Academy has offered me.
Thank you, Midshipman. I really appreciate that. So the next one is, are there academies that allow you to commission into any military service after graduation? I think that our Merchant Marine Academy representative did cover that, but if there's any one else among our panel who has any comments about that, please feel free to do so.
So I can jump in here for a second. There's opportunities for cross commissioning out of all of the service academies. I believe the Air Force Academy in particular allows you to commission into the Air Force and the Space Force directly. And then we also have programs that allow you to cross commission into the Marines, the Navy, the Army, all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's kind of an important thing to keep in mind, is that maybe one of the academies has something specific to offer that you are particularly interested in, but one of the other branches has a job or a career that you want to go into. And so there's opportunities for that as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Lieutenant. Colonel Posey, how many cadets, I believe Cadet Brandon did go over this already, but how many cadets have you got there at the Mississippi State Army ROTC program?
We have about 93 cadets right now. It's way above our mission. We only have to commission 15 a year. So, normally we make our mission without really any recruiting. So we're actually commissioning about 20 to 25 a year, well past our mission.
Thank you. This would go to back to Lieutenant Miller. Could you tell us just a little bit more about the glider program?
Absolutely. So I kind of mentioned it in the chat a little bit, but your freshman year at the Academy, just about every cadet is offered the opportunity to go up and kind of just ride along in the gliders and maybe control them a little bit. That's kind of something that nearly every cadet takes part in, myself included. And then between your freshman and your sophomore year, they have a couple different airmanship opportunities that you can take part in. We have a 3-part summer period where you have three-week periods to do different things. And one of those will be an airmanship period. During that airmanship period, you can apply to either take the jump program, the soaring glider program, or cyber, space, that kind of stuff. And so if you choose to do the glider program, that'll be 3 weeks where you're flying all the time, and at the end of which you'll have the opportunity to potentially solo. And if you take that 3-week summer period and you really loved it, you can apply to join one of our soaring teams, which will be the cross-country soaring or our aerobatics team. And they compete all over the country. They're phenomenal at what they do. They've won a ton of awards, and they have incredible opportunities to travel and fly all the time.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I really appreciate that. Next, I'm going to ask this question, and first, if Mrs. Thornton could answer it, and then Major Gilbert and Mr. Brune from Navy Blue and Gold Officer, very briefly answer this. So the question is, what do you see as trends that make applicants competitive in the selection process?
That is a very good question. Being that you're applying to a service academy, I would say the most common trends are extensive leadership and demonstration of character. So it is not a requirement that you have to be in junior ROTC. It is not a requirement that you have to play every sport that is at your school. We want to see well-rounded candidates. I think that everyone would say that. You really just want to balance everything as best you can, do well in those things that you're doing, get good grades, and when you're working on your application, really take the time to put together a solid application that explains why you want to attend a Service Academy and what you're going to be contributing to each of them.
I think a lot of times candidates, everyone's got strengths and weaknesses. So I think if you we're looking for a well-rounded candidate, and I think, don't just ignore your weaknesses and try to pile on your strengths. Look at if you're weak in the CFA, don't just keep focusing on the SAT and the ACT and try to knock that out of the park. That's going to help you a lot. But if you fail that CFA, we can't look at your file. So, focus on your weaknesses. That's how you're going to be successful in life in the future. And it's going to help with your application. If you don't have any athletics and you're still a sophomore, go out for the football team, go out for the cross country team. Look at your weaknesses in extracurriculars and athletics and leadership and your academics and allocate your time where you think your weaknesses are. That'd be my recommendation.
And mine, and I'm shown as Lieutenant Gerald because we're sharing the computer node, but the important thing, especially for those of you that are freshmen and sophomores in high school and here, is to be looking hard at mathematical and making sure that you're taking all of the math courses that your high school offers and continuing to move up in it. That is one of the major issues when students get to the academy. If they don't have a good math background, the academies work real hard to make that work for them, but that's something that you really need to concentrate on as you move up in high school.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bruin. I appreciate it. Finally nice to get to see you. So, Mr. Zeidman, this one is for you. Are there parents clubs for all of the academies?
Yes, all the academies have parents clubs, so I encourage you to go on the website of any of the 5 federal academies, and there'll be a link to the local parents club, and they'll have on there usually the president or someone that you can contact. And I highly recommend that they do that during the whole process, because the parents parents of students that are already at the academies, they can really help a lot. So yes, all the academies have parents clubs, and they all meet regularly. Of course, with pandemic and stuff, but right now they're very good at the very end of the year, just before you ship off to West Point or Annapolis or any of the other academies. They usually have a hail and farewell in which they have existing Mississippi students come and talk to the new plebes that will be entering the academy, so they can give you a wealth of information at the very last minute that can be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zeidman. Before we move on, is there any other sort of question that you think needs to be answered if it hasn't been asked, or any other points anyone wants to make that you think would be important for our attendees today? And you can just sort of come in at your own convenience. Okay. All right. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I think that went pretty well, and I sure learned a lot. I imagine that some of our attendees did too. This is being recorded, and it will be available on trentkelly.house.gov and social media sometime in the very, very near future. I will also try to make sure that all of our speakers get a recording as well. And I just want to put up one more thing here. And so this is my contact information. Please, if there's something you want to know after this is over, you can reach out to me anytime. Don't forget, guys, that due date for the checklist is November the 30th. If you need a little bit more time to get that to me, that is totally all right, but just let me know and try not to, hopefully not too much past November the 30th. They did schedule an ACT test this morning, which was not on the calendar when I made this, when I chose this day. So I think that there'll be a few people who want to watch it afterwards and may still have questions who weren't able to attend. But other than that, I just want to thank everybody. Any last thing anybody wants to impart to our attendees before we sign off? All right, well, thank you guys so much. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. And like I said, don't forget November the 30th. Watch out for the recording. And hopefully we'll see you guys very soon. Thank you so much.